On my last video, I showed off the new 35mm Summicron FLE2. It's a great everyday wide-angle lens. It's fast and sharp, capable in low light situations, and it can produce some great photos with the bokeh effect. Today I'm focusing on a very different lens, a longer telephoto lens, the 75mm APO-Summicron f2.0. It's a very different focal length, especially coming from the 35, and it takes some getting used to. It allows me to get in close to the subject while shooting from a farther distance away. The lens is larger and heavier than the 35, so it weighs about 430 grams compared to the 330 grams of the 35mm. And because it is a longer focal length, sometimes getting exact focus can be an issue, especially with a rangefinder camera. So because of the size of this lens and the weight and the focusing issue, this is a good lens to put on the SL2-S. The SL2-S has that large hand grip, so you can stabilize the lens, and it has in-body stabilization in the camera. And it has that added benefit of focus assistance to help get in that exact focusing. But this lens works perfectly well with the M11, and the smaller form factor of the M11 body makes it more discreet, especially when you're taking pictures of other people. And I noticed that when I was shooting with the SL2-S, I get a lot more looks at the camera when I'm carrying that compared to the M11. I'll show some sample photos of the 75mm lens. Some of them are shot on the M11, but most are shot on the SL2-S. I found a few different situations where the 75 works well. One is buildings and structures. Another is shooting subjects such as cars or sculptures. And you can even do some street photography with it. So first, starting out with some buildings and architecture, the 75mm is really helpful when you can't walk up and get close. So you can really shoot from far away. And on these sample photos, I was really standing pretty far away. Next are some shots in between two buildings. So the 75 is long enough to focus in on the subject at the end, but it's still wide enough to show the full alley. And you can still use it indoors, getting a shot from across the bar or from across the table at my watch. These next two car photos were from a few months ago, but I included them because it really shows how this 75mm shines when it comes to car photography. It really produces some beautiful images. And then for sculptures, you can shoot from far away for large objects, or you can even come close to the sculpture and use it wide open and get that bokeh effect. And using this for regular street shots, you can do that too. And the benefit is that you don't have to get up close to a subject, and you can just stand from far away, and you can also get some more of the environment. And I said before that the 75mm lens can pair up well with a 35 as a good two lens kit. And you might not even need to bring along a 50mm. You could use the 35 for indoor shots, group shots, or street photography, and you could crop into 50 with that. And you could use the 75 for longer shots, architecture and buildings, and you could crop into 90 with that. Let me know in the comments how you use the 75mm focal length. I didn't even mention portraits, but this is a great portrait lens. Let me know in the comments what other uses I missed.